Hello and welcome to the Nonsensical Podcast. This is episode 8.
Alrighty then, welcome in everybody. Welcome to the Nonsensical Podcast. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Sam Wilkerson, and I'm going to throw it over to my co-host, Nate Hassan.
Hey guys, welcome in today. I think today we are covering some more college football talk. We did have a review on Apple Podcasts. We have a couple extra actually. We had 5. I think we went up to 9 now. So thank you guys for those reviews. We did have like a specific name for a review, and I thought it was someone Sam might know, but he has no clue who it is. So
yeah, no, I have no
thank
clue.
you to Brandon's driver, whoever that is. He said Sam's aight, so I like him.
I don't know. I'll read the exact review because if somebody can give me a translation on this, would be great.
No,
it's aight. It's aight for Sam. Just kidding. This is literally my favorite podcast. So I don't know. At first, I read that and I thought it was supposed to say something like "I'll fight Sam."
Oh my god.
And the only thing I have to say to that is name a time, name a place. All right. Look, I'm gonna whoop you with one hand. I'm gonna eat a sandwich with the other. So just,
Anyways.
No, but really, thanks for the review.
Yeah, thank you guys. Keep giving us reviews. Keep telling your friends to review us. Keep suggesting us to your friends. We do appreciate it. Like I said, we might do some sort of giveaway here soon. So don't know exactly what that entails, whether it's going to be reviews or shares on social media or people added to the Discord or something. But
it's going to be a free used Subway gift card.
Not true. It will be a new gift card to Subway.
Nate will give you one of his very expensive Pokemon cards.
You'll get something worth some money. Maybe we'll just do straight cash, like Venmo or PayPal or something. That might be better. People like cash, right?
Hard cash money, baby.
Money talks.
Cash moolah.
Well, I guess the other thing, don't forget to join our Discord. So if you guys are listening, and this is not your first time listening to us, you probably enjoy us enough to join the Discord. If you don't know what Discord is, basically it's a group messaging type of app, but a little more in-depth than that. That's probably the best way I can describe it. But it's fun. We have lots of fun conversations on there. So go to our website and find that. Yeah, email one of us, talk to us on social media, do whatever you need to, but we can definitely get you that link. Sam, do you want to give them the big news?
Oh, yeah, we do have some big news, don't we?
We do.
So we are announcing this week, I guess we're announcing that Goon Studios is actually a thing now. It's not just a fun little name on our podcast art. Nate and I have started Goon Studios as a partnership, and we have our first, it's really second podcast, and that is
first
Hall
partner.
Gaming. First partner. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, first partner. Hall Gaming, hosted by our friend Jeremy Hall, that you may have heard on our third podcast.
I think it was 3 and 4. He was on.
Yeah, 3 and 4. We interviewed Jeremy, gave you a little bit of his background, and now he has started a gaming podcast. First episode should be up next week, I think he said. Yeah,
pretty soon. He sent me the information. I need to work on that, but Jess had my computer, so I couldn't edit it until just now. So, definitely check him out. He also is going to be streaming on Twitch. So I think he said his username is Zenik68, ZENIK 68, all one word. But again, all of these links are in the Discord, so you can find his site, our site, Discords, anything you want in there. So
let's have a fun little chat with us. Some of our supporters in there.
Awesome. Well, where are we starting off, Sam?
I guess we're going to start off talking about how wrong we were. And I need to pull up the document to see how I was wrong.
I was thinking the same thing. I know some of the places I was wrong, but I definitely need to hit on some of the ones you were specifically wrong.
I guess let's start off by going down our top 10 and see how it holds up.
Okay.
So at the time of the recording for the second podcast, which would have been our podcast talking about our predictions for this season in the NCAA, We recorded that the week before the Big Ten started their season.
Yep.
So I'll let you read off your original top 10 and see how it holds up now.
I almost have it open. You can give me. Well, I guess I know.
Well, here, I'll go ahead
I think I know
and
what
read
order I
mine
have
off.
them. All right, you go ahead.
Okay. So my original top 10 was Clemson at number 1, Florida at number 2, Bama at number 3, Ohio State at number 4, Miami at number 5, Tennessee at number 6,
Big oof.
UNC at number 7, number 8 Cincinnati, number 9 Minnesota, and number 10 Georgia. And I have the standings pulled up right here. So at the time, we have Clemson at number 1, Alabama at number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, Georgia at number 5, Cincinnati at number 6, Texas A&M at number 7, Florida at number 8, BYU at number 9, and Wisconsin at number 10. So, a lot of disappointments there on mine because some of my favorite teams, the ones that I put on there just because I liked them, are no longer. Minnesota's just a dud. I don't think they've won a game yet. They've lost both of their games.
Looking at mine doesn't look too bad.
No, I think yours holds up.
I had this is the order I had in mine: 1 Ohio State, 2 Clemson, 3 Bama, 4 Florida, 5 Miami, 6 Penn State, 7 Notre Dame, 8 North Carolina, 9 Georgia, and 10 Cincinnati. Most of those I think I still would agree with. Definitely the first 3. Florida, I probably wouldn't have it 4th. I probably would put maybe either Notre Dame or Penn State at 4th, just because I think they're both still up there. But Miami should not be in my top 10. And North Carolina's, maybe like 15. But yeah, no, I'm still pretty confident in most of that list.
I think yours. Go ahead.
I was going to say just bump Florida down a few spots.
Yeah, I think yours might be more accurate after this week. I feel like yours might be more accurate. I don't think that Bama will. Well, Bama definitely won't drop because they have a bye week. But I think we might see Clemson drop to number 2.
And keep in mind,
it coming on.
Keep in mind, we are recording this Friday the 6th, so this is right before week. What week are we even on of football? Week 8, maybe
10.
week 7. Is it week 10? Really?
Mm-hmm. Week 10.
Huh. Okay.
Yep, because
week 10.
SEC started the 24th, but I know Conference USA started the 12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 12th because it was the weekend before. No, it wasn't. It was the week before I drove up for your wedding, so it would have been the 7th or the.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know, somewhere around there, beginning of September.
Whatever week it is, yeah.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but we're recording this before the Clemson and Notre Dame game and before the Florida-Georgia game, so obviously that stuff will play into this equation some, and some of those teams might fall out of the rankings, some of them might move up, but...
Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of speculation that you're probably going to be annoyed with by the time it comes out.
Skip ahead maybe 30 seconds, but we should be good still.
Yeah. So, now that we've covered where we were wrong... I mean, you did call that the Big 12 as a whole was going to be out of the playoff runs. And that's pretty much true.
There's no chance.
So,
here's my...
I think... Go ahead.
No,
I think that a point that holds up even more is whenever we talked about LSU and the playoffs, you said 110% out because they lost to State. And I think that means even more now, because we know that Mississippi State is a very large turd in the punch bowl of the SEC.
Well, we also know that LSU is crap as well. I mean, I think they've lost at least like 3 games, haven't they?
What have they won?
Hold on, I'll tell you. LSU football. I know it hasn't looked good for them. That is for sure. I apologize to any LSU fans out there.
That's an understatement, but yeah.
Yeah, they're the redheaded stepchild of the SEC at the moment.
They're on that.
They beat Vandy, lost to Missouri, beat South Carolina, lost to Auburn, and they might have another game or two. Have at least
South Carolina in the SEC.
Lost to Mississippi State. Yeah.
Wow, who knew?
They're on our side. They're on the Florida side.
Oh, they sure. Yeah,
East, yeah,
yeah. The one that isn't competitive.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Did I say that? Did
yeah.
Did the inside voice come out?
Okay, what's our next point? Oh, big Ohio State recruit. So that's Sam said no one cares. I care. Some of the listeners care. There is some big news as far as recruiting goes this week. Quinn, and I think I'm going to say this correctly. I think it's Quinn Ewers,
Yeah, that
spelled
sounds like how I would pronounce it.
Ewers. Number one quarterback in the 2022 class. Number two overall player after, I think it's after a defensive tackle out of like Texas or something. But anyways, basically this guy Quinn. Very hard commit to Texas right away. And he actually recanted that statement, and he is kind of open to other ideas now. But the thing that I had seen a lot of analysts say was most of them had Ohio State as a favorite, which is very strange that like immediately after he decides to take back that commitment from Texas, everyone says he goes to Ohio State. So it could just be because Ohio State's known as quarterback U almost at this point. But yeah, no, that would be a really big pull for us. The only thing is there is such thing as too many quarterbacks.
I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I suppose, but I mean, if you have three good quarterbacks and two of them don't think they're getting the starting job and they leave, and then your starting man gets hurt, who do you have? The number, what is it? What is Kyle Trask? The 2,400 something player in the country? That's what he was in high school, something like that. Oh yeah, Kyle Trask was over the 2,000 mark.
But I mean, hey, Trask is good, right? Thought
Yeah,
that was your boy.
he is. He's being projected to go to the I'm going to say the Redskins. I know what they're called. I don't care.
The football team.
Being projected to go to Washington, which would be good. I mean, they have Dwayne Haskins, who's a young quarterback, but I mean, he's a Sam Darnold. He's not a Gardner Minshew or Baker Mayfield. We'll say that.
Speaking of Gardner Minshew, I'm very sad that he's hurt.
Yeah, he's out at least
Yeah,
for
he's
this
my
game, if not a
backup.
couple more.
Yeah, it just said out indefinitely, which is the most disheartening words to ever hear in fantasy football, is out indefinitely.
Hey, did you see who the Jags are supposed to be getting? Well, according to like most recent projection from the draft board, you see who they're supposed to get?
Who?
Justin Fields.
Oh, of course.
Full
I did see
circle,
that
back to
because
Ohio-
you sent a little message in one of the group chats that we're in
Yep.
talking about that.
Yep, and then the number one overall pick is at the moment it is the Jets or the Giants? I think it's the Jets taking Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
But Jacksonville could easily take the number one spot. I would not be surprised.
I think the Saints will pick or will take one of the big ones. I think.
You think so?
You need to look for that. Yeah, I think they will.
I don't think they'll have a high
There's been a
pick.
lot
I
of
think
speculation about Breeze's shoulder this week.
Yeah, but I think there's so many teams that are looking for a decent quarterback at the moment. They're not, and the Saints are going to be so far down on that list. I mean, like,
They will.
I think we'll see 4 quarterbacks go in the first 15 picks of the draft, maybe the first 10.
Prediction right now, and if this happens, I want my profit star. Prediction right now, I think that the Saints will trade away a big player to get a first round draft pick and then get a good quarterback.
I could see Justin
Calling my
Fields going
shot.
there.
Yeah.
Hey, imagine Justin Fields passing to Michael Thomas. That would be a matchup.
That would be a matchup. Then you could get Big
State
Zeke
matchup.
down there and just have your
Exactly.
Ohio State dream
Chase Young.
team.
Chase Young, Jeff Okuda.
Yeah.
What's Denzel Ward on the Browns? All the Buckeyes. Carlos Hyde is a backup running back. Terry McLaurin. There's so many Buckeyes. I'm telling
But
you.
J.K. Dobbins, leaving him out.
He's. I mean, once Mark Ingram is gone, he's going to take over, and he'll be top 10 rusher in the league. But I don't think he's going to be a star right away. I think it'll take him a few years to be top 5. But I think he'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get back to college football. Next item on the list, on the queue, as the British would say. Let's talk about some game postponements and cancellation for this week, and if they are going to affect the postseason / the top 25.
They're not going to affect anything.
Nope.
They're all irrelevant.
They are.
You want to read that list out?
I'll read the list out. All right, so we got Tulsa Navy, Louisville, Virginia, Army Air Force, Utah, Arizona, and North Texas Law State. Those are the postponements. Now, Cal Washington, they've straight canceled Cal Washington. The Pac-12 just gave up all hope of, I guess they gave up all hope of playing that game, which at this point, the Pac-12 they're so far behind the curve. Most teams are finishing up the second week of December.
Yeah,
And what are they?
I think it's their first week of playing, so this would be week one.
Yeah, this is week one for them. So most people's week 10 is their week one.
Yep.
I don't know because how are they going to judge if they do have Oregon's ranked number 12 right now, I believe.
Something like that.
If Oregon is a breakout good team, there's no way they can make the top four because
Oh no,
you're going to judge them off of 5 games while everyone else is being judged off of a full season.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, they're shooting themselves in the foot. I think they should have just stayed out of this season altogether.
Now, I will say, on the chance that the committee does something crazy and opens it up to 6 or 8 teams, I think Oregon has a chance. But I don't know how possible that is. I feel like they might have already at least began discussing that. But I mean, if there's a year to do it, it's this year for sure, with COVID and everything going on. Because it's hard to judge an 8-win undefeated team versus a 12-1 team that lost to a top 3 opponent. You know what I mean? Like if Penn State goes undefeated, they might have 10 wins and a single loss to Ohio State, and then there's the undefeated 6-win Oregon. I mean, who's the better team? All based off the eye look? I mean, it could be either one, but based solely off record, I mean, you got to take Penn State because they've been tried more, you know?
Yeah. That's the other thing is Pac-12 is only playing in conference, and outside of Oregon, what is there in conference?
Yeah, which is sad too. It's sad because football is good when like USC is a good team and Washington's a good team and Cal's a good team. It's just sad to see them not playing to the level that we're used to seeing them.
Yeah, it's just so. Other than my little Pac-12 rant, I don't think any of the other postponements are going to affect anything because they're all. No. I think Army was ranked at one time, but they're not even in the top 25 anymore. So
I think the Louisville, Virginia postponement could be an effect, but not in the sense of either of those two teams. I think it could affect the ACC rankings, which could affect Clemson or Notre Dame. I think that's what it could affect. Because realistically, Louisville, I don't think has a chance. Virginia, if they get their act together, I think they only have one loss. I'm pretty sure Virginia, if they started playing like a Division I team, could pass Notre Dame, assuming Notre Dame loses tomorrow to Clemson and maybe loses another game or two. So could affect the ACC race. Who really knows? But that would be the only one that I would say maybe too.
Let's see Virginia's record. No, Virginia is 2-4.
Are they really?
Yep.
I thought it was. There must be that. I must be thinking of someone else. Someone in the
ACC. You might be thinking of Virginia Tech.
Are they playing well this year?
Because I think Tech was good this year.
Okay, I haven't watched any of their games. That's one team I have not seen at all this year.
What league is or what conference is Tech in?
They're all ACC. Yep.
Yeah, Tech is 4-2.
Okay, maybe that was the one I was thinking.
So yeah, Virginia is 2-4 and Louisville is 2-5. So yeah, that does nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know Louisville's bet.
Okay, then so next order of business, the MAC is back.
No, it's not.
But no one cares. Yeah. The Mountain, what is it? The Mountain Atlantic Conference? Mountain Action Conference? I don't even know what it stands for.
I think it's Mid-Atlantic, isn't it?
Mid-Atlantic. I could see that.
MAC rankings. I'm almost positive it's Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, the only thing that I saw that was of any interest was their first play of the season was an onside kick. Which I can commit that like kind of. If I were ever a football coach, everything would be on an onside kick. I would go for 2 every time, and I would never punt.
Yep.
I wouldn't. It'd be more fun.
Yep.
I may have a losing record, but we have fun.
I will correct myself. It is actually Mid-American. But Fun fact: it looks like about half these teams are in Ohio.
Really?
So listen. Out of the MAC East, that's Kent State, Miami, Buffalo, Akron, Bowling Green, Ohio. Every team but Buffalo is in Ohio.
Oh yeah. That.
MAC
See, I
MAC
thought that there
West,
was like a
MAC
Ohio
West.
Valley Conference.
Uh,
I'll let you continue.
I don't know. MAC West is Toledo, which is also an Ohio school.
Yeah.
So, well, Ball State is Ball State Ohio. Ball State's somewhere nearby. It might not be Ohio. That might be like Indiana or something. But literally half the teams in the MAC are Ohio teams. So you would think I would care more, but they're all bad. So
The Ball State Cardinals, Muncie, Indiana.
okay, yeah. So between Ohio and Michigan, there are only two teams, three teams that are not in those states. It's Ohio, Michigan, and then Buffalo's New York. Northern Illinois is Illinois. Ball State's going to be that Indiana team, and I guess that's it. It's not much else besides that.
Yeah. So you should care about the MAC. That's your home state pride. But
Not
still, no one cares.
Yeah, it's the MAC. It's not. If there's a non-power 5 school that I think can play well this year, it's Cincinnati. It is not Toledo, Akron, Kent, Bowling Green, OU, whatever team you want to tell me. It's from Ohio.
See, I feel like they missed an opportunity if they didn't play Return of the Mac whenever they started the game. See, that would be so much fun. Alrighty then, now that we're done talking about the conference that nobody cares about, the year that Christmas forgot, it is on to the ACC. We already talked about the Virginia-Louisville game being postponed, so
Yep.
just take that. Okay, now let's talk about Clemson and Notre Dame. I have a few things to talk about here. So, let's start off by talking about all of the missing starters at Clemson. This is why I say that I think Nate's prediction could be more valid after this week, because Clemson isn't just missing Lawrence; they're missing several starters.
I think they're missing some defensive players. Just like
Yeah, they're missing. I'll read all of them off. Okay, so they're missing linebackers James Skalski and Mike Jones Jr. and defensive tackle Tyler Davis. And defensive end Xavier Thomas will miss the first half, but that's a targeting penalty, not COVID.
Yep. Yes, but two of those are. I mean, Mike Jones and Xavier Thomas are big hits to that defense.
Oh yeah. So not only are they missing, and I mean, DJ Ukulele or whatever, however you say his last name. I guess he did fine. I watched a little bit of the Boston College Clemson game, and I really thought Boston College was going to pull the upset off.
I did too.
They came up at the end, but
I think if that thing was anything to take note of, it was the fact that Clemson is not. In Rocky versus Drago, the scene where Drago bleeds and it's like this big scene, like, oh, he's a man, like he's bleeding. I think that was the scene last week we saw with Clemson. Like they were bleeding, like they were suffering, and they proved that they are not undefeatable. I mean, Granted, they're still Clemson. Don't get me wrong, but that doesn't mean that they can have an off week and another team can have a really good week and beat them and just trying to kind of change the course of their season. I mean, if they lose that number 1 ranking, they would go into the playoffs at most likely a number 3 seed and end up playing Bama and have to take a lot harder competition right away than whoever they end up playing as a 4 seed, which could be, who knows, Penn State, Oregon, someone.
Yeah, or Florida. Maybe your boys will pull it out.
I sure hope so, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, so now let's talk about Lawrence. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence, because I have a theory. So Trevor Lawrence was tested positive for COVID last Thursday. Last Thursday night, because it was at the time of us recording our Halloween episode that he tested positive.
And we took note of it.
Yes. So that was 8 days ago today. The official policy, before the season started, the ACC put together the what's the name of it? Medical advisory group to compile their guidelines for coronavirus. And they put out a report on August 28th. And I'll read a little bit off of that. So, the official protocol of the ACC is for them to quarantine for 10 days, counting from the time that they came into contact. So, assuming that Lawrence came into contact with it, let's see, if he's traveling with them, then his 10 days are up. He's traveling with the team to Notre Dame. So his 10 days are up. But a lot of the question around it has been, why is he still not playing if he's traveling? So there is, and this wasn't in the original report, they've added this since. But I'll read the exact quote from the report. Based on the medical advisory group's consultation with multiple cardiologists, at a minimum, every student athlete, symptomatic or otherwise, who tested positive shall undergo a cardiac evaluation that includes an electrocardiogram, a troponin test, and an echocardiogram after isolation and before a phased return to exercise and reacclimatization. So, and the next part is, if abnormalities are found during this battery of tests, the student athlete will not be permitted to participate unless and until the abnormalities have cleared after additional screening and the student athlete has received medical clearance from team physicians. So they're pretty much putting it in the team doctor's hands and saying, washing their hands of it. They're pulling a Pontius Pilate and saying, it's you. It's all you. So he's traveling with him. Here's my theory. I think that he took this test and there was an abnormality. So he's traveling with them and they will test him again before the game. And I think that if he comes back clear and the doctors clear him, we could see Trevor Lawrence enter the game this weekend.
I could
but
see
that's
that.
Just a theory.
That is a very bold prediction.
Yeah. So, and here's part 2. Should Clemson have even played Boston College last week? So let's read into this. According to their own guidelines, pursuant to current CDC, a student athlete identified through contact tracing and required to quarantine for 14 days must complete full quarantine before returning to activity. All right. So Lawrence tested positive on Thursday.
Sure.
Pursuant to this is me reading directly from the guidelines of the ACC. Pursuant to CDC guidance, prolonged close contact is defined as contact within 6 feet for at least 15 minutes. I don't know if you've ever watched a football practice, but I would call that prolonged close distance.
Within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, in that case, Lawrence could have infected the whole team according to their guidelines.
Yep.
So, should they have even played Boston College last week?
That is a good point.
Now, it also says down here, local contact tracing procedure will govern the application of this definition to student athletes. But according to their own guidelines, they should have all quarantined. Which is the thing I've not understood with any of this is they're not wearing masks when they're practicing. They're not really wearing masks on the sideline. They say they have helmet shields, but none of them really use the helmet shields. And what good does that do? So if you're really wanting to follow your own guidelines here, shouldn't have been played last week. There's a lot of fallacy in here. That's all I wanted to point out.
Clemson is a very interesting team for many reasons.
Yeah, I figured you'd like that because you have some grudge against Clemson.
Not as much a grudge. I think they are spectacularly overrated the last couple of years. Now, don't get me wrong. They are a very, very good team. Trevor Lawrence is a once-in-a-generation quarterback. However, I think if you put them in a conference like the SEC or the Big Ten, they are not losing, 3 games over 4 years or 2 games over 3 years or something like that. I think they're losing a few more. I think if they want to play with the big boys, they should join a conference that has some bigger teams in it.
Yeah, I think if they ever made like a super conference and put Oklahoma State, or not Oklahoma State, Ohio State. I was thinking Oklahoma. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. Put the big ones in there. I mean, it would put every other conference in the shadow, but it would be a very entertaining conference.
I've seen some actually really fun proposals of that, like you said, super conference, quote super conference, and basically it's like there's a North, there's a South, and there's an East and a West in each of the North and South conferences. So like Ohio State would be with like Clemson, Penn State, Virginia Tech. There might be one or two others, but it was a very and it like whoever did it was very very thoughtful in the way they did it too, because they also included rivalries and made it so that everyone was in the same conference as the rival. They made it so that they could figure out like the exact dates. Like they really spent some time on this thing, and it was pretty impressive what I saw actually. But yeah, it's never gonna happen.
I have a similar idea whenever we talk about the CFB playoffs. Well, I'll wait for later to talk.
Well, before we leave Clemson, I had a few points. So the spread for the Clemson game is under 5. What are you thinking on the spread? Are you taking the spread? It is 5. It is 5 exactly.
You're gonna have to explain how the spread works to me.
So that's saying that Clemson is favored by 5 points.
Okay.
Do you think Clemson's going to cover that? You think it'll be 5 or more? Or do you think that Notre Dame is going to cover that spread?
I think it'll be within 5 points. I think it's going to be a really close game.
See, this is a hard one for me because I don't like either team, and I really want Clemson to lose. And without Trevor Lawrence, I think it's going to be very tough for them. However, they still have Travis Etienne, who I would argue is probably the best back in the country outside of Bama. What's Bama's running back's name?
Waddle? No, Waddle's gone.
Waddle's the wide receiver.
He's not gone. He's a wide receiver. Not bad.
Anyways, I think Clemson has one of the top 2 backs in the country, but 5 points is an interesting number for me. If it was 2.5, I would say, or 3 even, I would say I'm saying Clemson's going to cover. But because it's 5, I could see Clemson winning by a field goal. That is something I could see. I mean,
yeah,
it would make for a more interesting football game. I'll tell you that much.
It'd be entertaining.
Here's the over under too. The over under is 50.5.
You have to explain over under to me.
over under means you think they're going to score combined over or under 50.5 points. So Notre Dame
combined?
plus Clemson score. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna go over. Definitely.
I'm gonna say over too. I think Ian Book's a good enough quarterback that he can run that score up some. And even without Trevor Lawrence, I think Clemson can still score. So I'm definitely taking the over on that one. But
I would love to see an all Texas A&M LSU game from 2018 season, I believe, whenever they set the college football scoring record. I think we could see a matchup similar to that. But I'm not saying they're going to set records, but I think we could see a high-scoring matchup between these two teams. I think they're, especially with Lawrence and several starters being out, I think that they're more equally matched.
Defensively, yes, I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, is that all? Anything else you have for Clemson?
Yeah, I think that I believe that is all I have for the ACC as a whole.
Well, just like the ACC, yeah. As the ACC, that is all we had to talk about with the ACC is Clemson, because that is all that matters in the ACC.
And occasionally Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, Notre Dame. Miami's in the ACC, I guess.
I suppose.
All right, so let's talk some SEC. So, Mississippi State is a complete dud, as I said earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, I had such high hopes for Mike Leach. I love Mike Leach, and I wanted him to come in and do well. I'm not even very much of a... They're the team I'll root for in the SEC, but I'm not very much of a Mississippi State fan. I just really like Mike Leach. Just like Minnesota, I just really like PJ Fleck. But... And then the other thing I've heard a lot of people point out is it's not as funny to hear him talk about his weird press conference stuff when he's losing.
Yeah.
It's not as fun to hear him talk about Bigfoot when he just got blown out. Yeah. A little less fun. So, we'll move on to that. Did you see this Ole Miss tight end scare this week?
Was that the one where he had to be life-flighted away?
Yes. He had to be airlifted
Yep, I saw the article on that. I didn't actually get a chance to read it, but how
This
serious did it end up
was
being? I
well,
saw it and I'm
he
like, oh, holy
regained
crap.
movement, but on the field, he had lost feeling below his neck, from what I heard.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, he was a freshman. Thomas was Demarcus Thomas is his name. He's airlifted from practice after suffering an injury that left him motionless and without feeling in his body for several minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But let's see, the doctors are well. Then this is an official statement from Ole Miss says that he's doing well and his tests had all been positive and that doctors were optimistic.
Hmm.
Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin said after practice that he was praying for Thomas. Already then.
It is scary. It was when I read the article, I'm like, oh man, that does not sound good.
Yep. Yeah, that is some real. That's not good. That's some Friday Night Lights first episode kind of stuff.
Oh gosh.
Don't want to see that. Alrighty then. So
Georgia, Florida.
Georgia, Florida. Yeah, I'll let you take this one because I'm sure you have extreme opinions on it.
I do have extreme opinions, even though I think Florida's going to win. Listen, here is my thought process behind this. Look back at the past Florida Georgia games. Georgia has won 3 in a row. Before that, Florida had won 3 in a row. Before that, Georgia had won 3 in a row.
Oh my god.
Before that, who do you think had won 3 in a row? It was Florida.
Oh.
Hint. I think this is a start to another three win run for Florida. But with the spread only being, I think Georgia is favored by 3 points. I'm pretty sure that's what the spread is. It is. I think it's too close for me to call. It's a nail biter. I think watching the game as a Florida fan, it's going to be terrifying. But I am confident in Florida. Florida has the number 1 rush offense in the SEC at the moment, with Georgia being number 6 in the SEC, and that's the big thing that people talk about Georgia when they talk about Georgia being a good team. They're like, oh, they have this great rush offense this year, even though they don't have a good quarterback, they can rush like no one else can. They're number 6 in the SEC, not number 6 in the country, number 6 in the SEC, behind Florida, Bama. I think Mississippi State's even up there. There's a bunch of teams ahead of Georgia before that number 1 rushing spot. And that is the only thing they have. So I think if we can, as much as our defense has struggled with rush defense this season, we are one of the worst in the country. I think if we can just focus on rush defense and not even worry about pass defense as much, we can keep them at a low enough score that we can outscore them.
Yeah, I think that's a solid strategy there, Coach Hassan.
Yep. Go Gators.
Yeah. Did you see Dan Mullen got slapped with a fine for
the swamp thing?
For the brawl? I didn't even see it.
Oh, the fight. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even see the fight.
Oh, it was. I was watching the game and I'm like, oh, they're pushing. Like, oh yeah, that happens. Whatever. And I just was like half watching in the corner of my eye, and I look away, look back like 20 seconds later. I'm like, oh, they're still fighting. Oh, they're throwing punches. Oh, there's people on the ground. This is a riot. So yeah, no, it was something to watch. That's for sure. That was the halftime show for that game. So
yeah, I think that the NCAA and the NFL are going a little crazy with the fines this year. Have you seen that John Gruden, the team got fined, John Gruden got fined. This is the Raiders. John Gruden got fined.
For what though?
For COVID violations.
Oh,
for not wearing masks on the sideline enough, they said. But they took away one of their draft picks.
Because of it. How do you take away a draft pick?
I don't know. They took one of their draft picks.
That has to be worth. I mean, as long as it's one of the like top 3 rounds, that has to be like millions of dollars worth of. That's ridiculous.
That is an awful overreach.
Yeah,
the NFL is asking for something like the XFL to succeed.
Yep. Hey,
I think if something.
Listen, I am all for the XFL. Listen, hold on. Listen to my proposal. So, as a soccer fan, I am all for relegation. Now, a lot of American people talk about relegation, and a lot of Americans don't even know what relegation means. When I say that, they're like, oh, you're saying regulation wrong. No, relegation Basically, so the way English soccer works, you have the EPL, top level soccer.
Okay.
You have I think it's the Champions League. So it's the league right below the EPL. Then you have League One, League Two. Your team can move up in a conference or down into a different conference depending on how well you play. So, say Manchester United had an awful year and we don't score enough points to pass relegation. We drop down to the EL Champions League, and the best EL Champions League team gets bumped up
To the Premier League.
to the Premier League. Correct. So,
Okay.
this is my thought process with the XFL. Do a relegation style thing. So, if you're bad enough that you're trying to tank your season to get a number 1 or 2 pick, you get relegated, you're going to the XFL, you're losing ticket sales, you're losing a bunch of contracts.
Yeah.
Like, give them a reason to keep fighting, even though they're not. Like, the Jags right now, we're 1-6. And I understand why we're 1-6. Gardner Minshew's out. Like, so many things are going wrong. But that doesn't mean I'm ready to give up our season. I still want to see us play as much as we can. I at least want to see us not be the worst team in our division. But I think if you implement some sort of relegation style play, it would really ramp up the competition. However, I do understand that it would also take away a lot from the skill level of players. So
Yeah,
that
right
is
now
the
they're
trade-off.
they have a backwards view of it of positive reinforcement for bad behavior.
Exactly.
So they have if you're the worst in the league, now you get
a number 1 draft pick.
number 1 draft pick instead of
Now,
if you're number
yeah. Now the NFL is not as bad as the NBA. The NBA is the worst by far. Don't get me wrong.
Well, the NBA is worse in a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be changed.
I've never watched the NBA. I don't plan on it.
Now, there's many things that could be changed, but I think the NFL needs that thing too. The other thing that I think is very exciting is the 2K Sports. You know who makes like NBA 2K, and I think NHL is owned by. Or no, that's EA.
NHL's EA.
Anyways, 2K Sports is talking with the XFL, and they are supposed to make a game, which
That'd be fun.
even though it's not the NFL, something to compete with Madden every year would be great, because Madden is an awful game, and the Madden that I was playing 10 minutes ago is the exact same as the Madden I played in 2016, because they're lazy, they have no competition, and they have no reason to improve the game. They just keep updating Ultimate Team and selling stuff.
That's a copy and paste comment you can make on any EA game.
Yeah. They just want to sell things. So they'll sell you the Ultimate Team players and that kind of thing. And they'll sell you whatever they can as far as loot boxes and stuff like that go. Yeah. But you have to make a decent game for it. Like, you know how long? Literally, like, if you played NCAA 14, the last college football game was ever released, it was made by EA, but it was a fine game. There were lots of things that were really good about it. The franchise mode in NCAA 14 is years better than the franchise mode that we have in Madden 21. They came out like 2 months ago. Why is EA such a terrible company?
Yeah, you look at NCAA, and they had fun things to play in there, like the mode where you could play as the mascot. Yeah,
all mascots. Yeah,
you play as the mascot.
How easy is that for Madden to make? Madden is just so lazy. Or not Madden, EA.
Yeah. See, that's the thing you've already seen with 2K is they've taken and EA had, what is it, NBA 18. NBA Live, sorry.
They still make them.
But nobody knows. It's overshadowed by 2K.
Exactly. Yep.
Because 2K is so great. So these companies need to start making these football games so that they can be the next 2K.
Yep.
They can overshadow. I think somebody needs to pick up the rights for NCAA.
Now there's a Canadian group that has been making this football game for years, and it is called what's the name? It's an old college quarterback. Canadian football video game. Anyways, though, it is basically Maximum Football, and it is Doug Flutie. It's a Doug Flutie game. So this Maximum Football game has been made by these Canadians, and they are putting so much time and effort. Like, I really appreciate what they're doing, because it's an indie group, and they started out as this tiny little thing, like, we're going to make a football game that's not EA to compete with them. And they started making these, and now, like, if you get into the game enough, you could change the uniforms, you could change the logos, you can change the player names, the team names. You could make a college football game out of it. It just is a ridiculous amount of time. But you see these people popping up like this, making those options available because EA just won't do it. EA has roster sharing, but they lock it so you can't change the logos, you can't change anything. You can't even. It's like impossible to even relocate your team in Madden, much less change your team name or change your logo or alter the uniforms, which was like NCAA 05 or something. You were allowed to alter uniforms. You know how long you've been able to change uniforms in football games?
You know how long customization in video games has been around in general?
Exactly. I mean, Halo 2 back in, what was that, like 2004 or 5? You could change your armor. It's no different than changing the color palette of a football player's jersey or the stripes or the helmet. Or it's so simple. And I mean, for the people that don't know video games like you and I do, it's literally just a basic line of code that is one of the most simple things you could write. Would literally probably take them an hour or less to throw this tiny little bit of information into the game. Anyways, that's my rant about EA in general and football video games, but they're getting better, I promise.
Yeah,
I got real
maybe one day. One day we'll have a good football game.
Hey, NCAA football will be back. I'm saying 2023 NCAA football comes back.
Oh my gosh. Well, they gotta find a way to pay the players first.
Well, they already passed. Well, that was the reason that I think it's coming back.
Oh yeah, because that starts in 2023, doesn't it?
No, I don't. I think it starts this year. 2021, like this upcoming season.
Yeah.
But no, I think that'll just be how long it takes for someone to sign some sort of contract that.
Oh yeah.
Gives players like, I don't know, a couple $100 for their name or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand why, like you said, just make a game where you can, like, I'll use this as an example because we've both been really into this game on our phones lately, Retro Bowl.
Yeah.
You pay 99 cents and you can customize everything. I made it so I only have 2 leagues in there. One is the CUSA and the other one is the SEC. I'd add a couple teams in there, but yeah, I went through and I customized every team name, customized their uniform.
Yeah.
So it was a pro football game, but I turned it into a college football game.
Exactly. And I did the same thing. And it took me a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to do that. But just having the ability to do that if you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, because they can't even get
common sense almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, we'll move on.
Yeah, it doesn't have common sense.
No, they don't. They don't have any kind of sense. They don't have uncommon sense. They have nothing. It's just it is a monkey playing the cymbals in their head.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, Pac-12 talk. So, oh boy, I wrote this question before. I saw.
Before Cal got.
So the first question I wrote was Cal player test positive, is season opener in jeopardy? That'd be a big old yes. So now, and did we talk about this? Were we recording when we talked about?
We did. We talked a bit. Yeah, we said something about Oregon being the only one, and I'm sticking. I mean, Oregon's the only team that has any sort of a chance in the Pac-12, and if they lose a single game, they're not even going to be in the New Year's Six. They just don't have the competition this year. Now, assuming it was a normal year and assuming they played Ohio State, maybe they would have had a chance. If they competed against Ohio State and lost by a touchdown, maybe there's an argument there. But with everything going on, no, there's no way they're making it to the playoffs.
Nope.
The way it sits right now, at least.
And just like the ACC, the only team we're talking about is the Pac-12 is Oregon. So move on from that.
There's no teams we're talking about in this next conference.
Do what?
So there's no teams we're talking about in this next conference.
Hey now. Let's talk about the Big 12. Let's talk about my Sooners. Boomer Sooner, don't make me sing the song.
Oklahoma's awful. That's all I have to say.
Oh, speaking of the Big 12, did you see where the Texas marching band is refusing to play The Eyes of Texas?
The Eyes of Texas?
Yeah, that's their...
Is that their fight song or something?
Yeah, I don't know if it's their fight. It's kind of like LSU and calling Baton Rouge.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know. Hang on, Slippy. Speak Northern to me, please.
It would be like Alabama playing Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep. or the Mac playing the return of the Mac, which I really think if that's not a thing, it needs to be. What was I looking up? Oh, I was looking up that story about Texas. Okay, let me find it. Because I'm pretty sure it was the Eyes of Texas, and if it's not, I know I'm going to get a text from my uncle about how dumb I am. Let's see. He likes to text me every time he listens to the podcast to tell me everything I got wrong on that week's podcast, which is a lot. If I went back and did what was I wrong
Sam's
about?
wrong all the time.
Yeah. It's actually more rare for me to be right. So,
okay, listen. While you're doing that, as far as the Big 12 goes, I'm looking at schedules right now. So the standings in the Big 12 right now, there's 3 teams with 1 loss: Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Kansas State's next 2 games are against Oklahoma State and Iowa State. So there is no possible way that all 3 of those teams remain 1-loss teams. 2 of those teams will have to have 2 losses.
Yeah.
Which means that whoever goes to the Big 12 championship game, assuming they're still a 1-loss team at that time, if they don't lose again before then, whoever goes to that championship game against Oklahoma, Texas, West Virginia, whoever, that is the only chance they have to make it to those playoffs. And again, I don't think it's going to happen. And Iowa State, I believe, plays Texas again. Well, not again, but they play Texas. They play Texas. They play West Virginia. They play Baylor this week, which will be interesting. Oklahoma State hasn't played Oklahoma, hasn't played TCU, hasn't played Kansas State. So yeah, there's no way. No Big 12 teams make it to the playoffs. That's not even a bold prediction. That is just a statement at this point.
Oh, I forgot to... No, never mind. Sorry. I didn't forget anything. I'm just dumb. There he is. There it is. Texas band won't play amid Spirit Song dispute.
Why?
I'm waiting on the story to load. There we go. Oh, crap.
In the meantime, would you like me to move on to the Big Ten while you're looking that up?
Oh, here it's here. It's here. All right.
Okay.
So, with disputes still raging over the Eyes of Texas, the University of Texas marching band won't play at the school's final 2 home games against West Virginia and Iowa State. The band didn't play at the school's previous home game against Baylor after several members objected to the school's alma mater with ties to minstrel shows and Confederate Civil War General Robert E. Lee.
Interesting.
Let's see. School president Jay Hartzell maintained in October that the song would remain the alma mater amid growing controversy as the origins of the song surfaced. The song was played over the stadium's loudspeakers during the Baylor game in the band's absence. So, basically what Texas is saying is, we don't need you or the mule that you rode in on. So the band can stick their trumpets where the sun don't shine, which is a sentiment that I am willing to get behind. I hope that Texas sticks to their convictions and that they don't bend to this pressure, because I think it's ridiculous.
Interesting. Yeah, that is very strange.
But yeah, just a little rant to go on there. All right, then, let's talk about the Big Ten.
Big Ten.
Yep, Big Ten. Any viable threats outside of Ohio State? I know your answer is going to be no. Oh, yes.
Listen, I know. You, like, what was it, 5-6 weeks ago we did this, and I said there's no team that's that great. There's no second best team. There's no one that can compete. Watching every other team fall and be awful since then has changed my viewpoints. I think it's another year that the Big Ten is one of the top 2 or 3 conferences in the country, probably top 2. I think the Big Ten and the SEC are definitely the most competitive this year. But looking at the teams that have played so far, obviously we have Ohio State. That's not changing. Outside of Ohio State, actually ranked above Ohio State at the moment, I think because alphabetically is how they rank them on Google. Indiana beat Penn State. Indiana is playing very well at the moment. Now, can they keep that up? I'm not sure. We'll see tomorrow when they play Michigan. I think Michigan is, I believe Michigan's favored by like 5 or 6 points. So The spread is one that's low enough that you guys can probably go bet on it and make some money. Again, well, I guess by the time this comes out, it's not going to matter anyways. But
Yes, go bet now. Talk about a guaranteed outcome.
No, the Michigan Indiana game I think is going to tell us a lot this weekend. So I think Michigan's going to win that game, and I think that's an easy pick for the spread. I don't think Indiana is as much as they seem to be. I think it's kind of a false hope for that one. But on the other side of the Big Ten, Northwestern's playing really well, and Wisconsin also has not lost a game. Granted, they've played one game, and they had to cancel their game against Nebraska. But Wisconsin's playing well. We'll see next week, I guess this week, if you guys are listening to this when it comes out, when they play Michigan, because that will be a big game. And then they have Northwestern, then obviously Minnesota, Indiana, Iowa. So some big games left on Wisconsin's schedule. I think they'll go undefeated, but I think that once they get to the Big Ten championship game and play Ohio State, they'll lose. But I think it'll be closer than most people think. So there's definitely some talent out there. I would say Wisconsin, at the moment, might be my number 2 team in the Big Ten. Penn State's struggling, that's for sure. But no, I think Wisconsin is the only other one that I would say outside of Indiana having a really good season that could possibly make the playoffs. Now, the only way Indiana can make the playoffs is if they win out, except for the Ohio State loss, because we've seen before a Big Ten team making it to the playoffs not being in the Big Ten championship game. In 2014, Penn State beat Ohio State, and Penn State went to the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State did not play, and Ohio State still made the playoffs. So, assuming we don't have the competition we have this year, and everyone's awful, a one-loss Indiana that only has a single loss to Ohio State looks really good in my eyes. So, that's definitely a viable option, I think, as long as they can hold it together the way they are at the moment.
Yeah, I'll take your word on it because I don't keep up with the Big Ten.
Sam is a crappy team fan.
Oh yeah, I like the underdogs. I like the little guys. What can I say?
Oklahoma, Southern Miss, Mississippi State.
I'm a glutton for punishment.
LSU.
That's what it is. Oh no! Don't you dare put me in their ranks. All right. So speaking of the little guy, the underdog, I've listed out all of the top 10 matchups this week. And so we're going to go through those and try to pick what we think will be the closest. And I think it's only going to come down to 2. So first we have Cincinnati, Houston, Purdue, Wisconsin, Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Rutgers, Ohio State, and Clemson, Notre Dame.
Now, are you asking closest as far as like which scores are the closest, or
which scores are the closest? Let's do which scores are the closest and the most likely for an upset.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to do it?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Closest scores. So, assuming I can't pick 2, obviously my 2. I think everyone kind of knows at this point: Florida, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame. Those are definitely the 2 big games this week. You guys have the great benefit of listening to this after watching the games. So Sam and I could be completely wrong. However, I think the Florida Georgia game will be a little more a little closer, just because Clemson Notre Dame I think has a much better chance to go crazy as far as the score goes. And if one of them can't keep up, then the score might not be as close as we think. Florida Georgia could be one of those classic SEC games we see where it's 10-20 or 7-21 or something like that. So I think this will finally be the week we see a little bit more SEC play as far as a lower scoring game with some decent defense for once. We'll see how that prediction pans out. But I think Florida Georgia is going to be my close one. As far as my upset goes, it's not Rutgers, Ohio State, I'll tell you that much. No. Honestly, the one that I can see happening, the one that I can see most likely to happen at this point is maybe Clemson Notre Dame. Is Georgia ranked higher than Florida?
Let's find out.
If Georgia's ranked higher, then I'm going to take that game again, I suppose. But I won't pick that same one twice.
Good.
I think Georgia's an upset watch, though.
Georgia is number 5 and Florida is number 8. So yeah.
Okay, yes. Well, that would be my upset watch, but I'll pick a different one. So I'm going to say Clemson, Notre Dame. Clemson, I think, is going to struggle this week, and we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. You guys will know by now. But yeah, it'll be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, mine's going to be the same one. Same one for both. It's going to be Clemson,
Okay.
Clemson, Notre Dame. Yeah, well, I mean, same one. I think that's going to be the closest game and the most likely for an upset.
Gotcha.
I think that we will see.
Why do you think that will be closer?
Well, I think that closer than the rest of the games, or closer than Florida, Georgia.
Florida, Georgia. The rest of the ones you don't have to explain.
Yeah. Well, I think that Florida and Georgia are the most equally matched teams when all of their players are healthy. I think that now that we see a sick Clemson, I think they're entering into this at a disadvantage. I think that any given week it would have been Florida, Georgia for me, but just because it's this week with what's happening to Clemson,
Sure.
I think that's the more likely because they've given Notre Dame the edge they need.
Interesting take to me.
Okay, so
moving on from there.
Moving on from there to playoff talk. Let's talk about the 8-team playoff. So, what do you think about the 8-team playoff?
I have said for years, and I'll continue to say, 8-team playoff is where we are headed, and I think it's where the next step in the playoffs should go. Now, do I think that's the next step that we take towards the playoffs? I don't know. Maybe we try a 16 playoffs, make sure that goes well, and go straight to the 8-team after that. But I mean, realistically, an 8-team playoff isn't going to hurt. It's a one extra game on the season, and it's only for 2 teams. So I am all for an 8-team playoff. I have been for years. As soon as the playoffs started happening, I'm like, why aren't there more teams than this? 4, I think, just limits it a little much. So you see every year, I mean, there's always some sort of controversy like, oh, the number 5 team was let out. Was it the first year or second year? The perfect example is UCF, group of 5 school. A group of 5 school never gets the chance because it's always Power 5 schools. So I think you do an 8-team playoff, you make the 5 big conferences get an automatic in, assuming they're like 2 loss or less teams. And then you give a couple opportunities for teams that are at large, quote, at large. Notre Dame being an independent, or maybe another group of 5, like a Cincy or someone like that. But
yeah,
that is kind of my thoughts on the 8-team playoff.
I understand that. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it'd be fun if it did happen. I think it'd be...
It will happen. I just don't know when is what I'm saying.
Oh, you think it will happen? Sorry.
Well, 100% happen. I just don't know when.
I zoned out a little bit.
The 8-team playoff will happen. That is not a question. It's more of when it will happen.
All right, so I see we have these listed out. I don't know if you changed some of these, but if you didn't, then we had a pretty good list going to begin with.
I did, yes.
Oh, you did change them? Okay.
So. No. I had a good list to start off with.
Oh, okay. All right, so which of these teams would you give a chance that wouldn't usually have the opportunity if we went to an 8-team playoff? So we have Coastal Carolina, BYU, Marshall, Liberty, Southern Methodist, SMU, or Miami.
And I think I included UCF and Cincinnati as well. They're just not listed right there.
Oh, yeah, you did. They're up top. Sorry.
Well, the reason I said that's because Cincinnati is going to be my team. Outside of Cincinnati, I'd say BYU. But I think Cincinnati 100% deserves a chance this year. They're proving that they're not to be messed with. Luke Fickell is a heck of a coach. I think they can compete with any... sounds bad. I think they could compete with any second-tier team in the country. So put them up against Penn State, put them up against Indiana, put them up against Oregon or Miami or FSU or any team that's not playing for a conference championship right now, and it's going to at least be a competitive game. So, I'm taking Cincy for that. I think they at least deserve the shot. And if it was 2014, 2015, whatever year that was, 2016, I would have taken UCF and given them that chance.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's solid. I'm gonna go with same thing you said, Cincy. I think that'd be my team, Cincy, and I'd like to see Marshall just to represent the little guy, Conference USA and Miami. I think Miami's up there. Miami's number 11, I believe.
So you're talking Miami of Ohio or Miami, Florida?
Oh, Miami, Florida. Nobody's ever talking about Miami of Ohio.
Well, see that the problem is that they're ACC, and the ACC is falling apart very quickly. So
we can't all
now
be we can't all be in the MAC.
Now the BYU is an independent.
Independent.
They're out there with Notre Dame, so that is an interesting one because actually it kind of leads into our next question. So, what would the format of an 18 playoff be? And this is my proposal. So, 5-2-1 layout is what I'm saying. So you have the 5 Power 5 winners. You've got Big 10, Big 12, SEC, Pac-12, ACC. 5 of those winners, assuming they are 2-loss teams at most, put them in for sure. 2 at-large teams, so Notre Dame, BYU, whoever else fits in there, even like the runner-up in the SEC or Big 10, whatever, and then 1 group of 5 winners. So always include that group of 5 team just to give them the opportunity. That is my proposal. But with that being said, that would be interesting for a team like BYU because even though they compete with a group of 5 teams, they are not a group of 5 team. They are a independent. So just an interesting thing to think about where they would land in something like that, and if someone would consider them a group of 5 team enough to even throw them in there. But
yeah, I think that here's my theory. I think that we need to flip the NFL and the NCAA's playoff standards because I think that they need the standards that they have. The NFL standards fit better for a larger conference, and the NCAA standards fit better for a small one.
Sure.
Okay. So I think that the NCAA needs to split the schools up, keep the conferences, but split the schools up where they have the North, West, East, South.
Sure.
And then have wild cards, division leaders from there. Bring it in,
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes. I mean, even if you just did the Power 5 schools and split those up, I think that would be interesting to see. Now, obviously, you're leaving out teams like Notre Dame, but maybe it'll teach them a lesson and show them that they should actually be in a conference.
Be in a conference.
Not be a bunch of pansies, but
They and BYU can make a weirdo conference.
Yeah, that would be a very strange group of people.
Catholics and the Mormons.
Yep.
Yeah, I like your 5-2-1 layout.
Yep.
It seems like a solid plan. I don't think they'll ever go to it, but it seems like a solid plan.
No. I think honestly, and that's what a lot of analysts are proposing as well. I think that if we go to an 18 playoff, you will see something along the lines of the 5 Power 5 champions being granted some sort of access, and then some sort of group of 5 winner as well. I think that's kind of what they're pushing for. At least champions of the big 3. Well, I say big 3. I guess there's 4. The Pac-12 is just going to be relevant now.
See, I think also,
again, I think at least the SEC and the Big 10.
I think also if we go to a group of 8 playoff, we need to see something other than the 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4, 5.
No.
I think it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think the way they're ranked, I think it needs to be paired like that.
See, I would somewhat agree. I would say that we should play the way we do now, but split it up with an 18 playoff. So 1 would play 4, 2 would play 3, 5 would play 8, and 6 would play 7.
That'd be good. What would you do with the 4? With the last 4? Do 1, 4, 2, and 3?
What do you mean the last 4?
I mean, after you had the first round, you would have 4 teams. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would put the winner of the 1 and 4 against the winner of the 5 and 8.
Okay.
And then the winner of 2 and 3 against the winner of
6 and
7. Yep. Because realistically, you just would feel a little bit more competitive because that's when you give them a little bit of a rest, you give them a little bit of a bye, or you let some team upset another, and then you kind of have that chance of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a solid plan.
Because right now they play for the bye week. I mean, for that number 1 seed, they're playing for. It's not a bye week, but you're playing for that number 1 seed to play the 4 seed, assuming it's going to be a team that's not as good as the 2 or 3 team in the country: Bama, Clemson, Ohio State.
Yeah, NCAA needs to be taking notes.
Yep.
You got their plan set out right here for them.
This is it.
We already talked about what team would benefit most. So, let's talk about the Pac-12 bowl requirement. That'll be the last thing for today. So I saw this right as we were starting. Larry Scott, the commissioner of the Pac-12, says that teams need to be at least 500. At least
500. You're right.
Yeah, to be bowl eligible. Sorry, I had a Joe Biden moment.
No, you're good.
I don't think we have bad cut care. So, sorry, hold on. I hate web pages that have automatic ads that play.
Yes. Yes, those are the worst.
Okay, so they're wanting to have not a winning season, just
500
season. So they could be. They're only playing 6 games, so they could be 3-3 and go to a bowl, according to them. Which I mean, it's not up to the commissioner of the conference, is it?
No, it's not. I don't think so. I'm almost positive it's all NCAA. I don't think the conference gets any say. However, I also understand. I mean, a 3-loss season doesn't sound as bad when it's a normal season. Now, when it's a 3-loss season and you only have 6 games, it doesn't make it sound that great. But,
Yeah. Yeah. It's not good. Not good at all.
Anything else to add on?
Cal and Washington only having 5 games. Nope.
That's true.
All. That
awesome. Well, before we let you guys go, remember to give us a shout out on social media. Follow us, like us, share our stuff. We do have any social media you can imagine. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, if you count that, all over the place. Don't forget to give us those reviews on Apple. Again, we're going to be doing some sort of giveaway here soon. But we are glad you guys listen in today. And hopefully this wasn't too strange of a podcast being recorded a week before it came out. Before this week of play in football.
Alrighty then. Have a good week.